As 2009 comes to an end, it will be remembered on the international stage as a year of key elections and the protests that followed. A year of violence as a growing drug war surged out of control. But it will also be remembered as a year of triumph for a nation preparing itself for the world in the Olympic Games.
Rio de Janeiro.
The Iranian presidential election became the cornerstone for news abroad in 2009, not because of who won the election, but the protests that followed. As expected, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was elected to a second term, but supporters of challenger Mir Hossein Mousavi declared voter irregularities and took their protests to the streets of Tehran. After 2 weeks, violence was finally squashed and Ahmadinejad started his second term. In Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai was also re-elected. However, calls of voter fraud throughout the country left his election in doubt. A runoff was scheduled between Karzai and Abdullah, but just days before the election, Abdullah pulled out, leading to Karzai's inauguration. In 2009, the war in Afghanistan intensified. More U.S. troops died on the battlefield in 2009 than any of the 8 previous years of the war. And the violence spread into Pakistan. A number of car bombings and blasts forced Pakistani troops to respond and quell the violence. The worst violence may have actually taken place in Mexico. A growing drug war has led to the murders of more than 14,000 people since 2006.
Iran is breaking rules that all nations must follow.
The world's attention to the spread of nuclear weapons increased in 2009. Iran continued to defy the international community by enhancing its enrichment process. While Iranian leaders contend it is for peaceful purposes, members of the international community disagree. Another rogue state, North Korea, continues to test long-range weapons and went so far as to test an underground nuclear weapon. But 2009 in the communist country will best be remembered for a visit from former President Bill Clinton, who made a brief stop meeting with Kim Jong-il, all to gain the freedom of 2 American journalists.
When we walked in through the doors, we saw standing before us President Bill Clinton.
Also freed in 2009, the only man convicted in the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland. Abdelbasset al-Mohammed al-Megrahi was released in August. He is said to be dying from cancer. Upon his return to Libya, a hero's welcome and a greeting from Libyan President Muammar al-Gaddafi. Further south and east in Africa, shipping waters became increasingly dangerous. Pirates controlled the waters off of Somalia, seizing several ships, including an American vessel, the Maersk Alabama. While the crew was set free, U.S. Navy SEALs were forced to intervene and free Captain Richard Phillips.
I am just a bit part in this story. I'm a small part. I'm a seaman doing the best he can, like all the other seamen out there.
In April, a new virus developed in Mexico called the swine flu. H1N1, as it would later be known, quickly spread, infecting people around the globe. Health officials declared a worldwide pandemic. By the end of November, more than 1.2 million people worldwide had been infected, and more than 13,000 deaths were attributed to swine flu. In early December, the murder trial of an American college student studying in Italy captivated the world audience. After a nearly 11-month trial,
per quanto riguarda Amanda Knox,
a jury of 8 Italians found the Seattle native guilty of killing her roommate, Meredith Kircher. Knox was quickly sentenced to 26 years in prison. Her family says they will appeal. In June, French officials launched a massive investigation into the crash of Air France 447. The Paris-bound flight took off from Rio de Janeiro but soon disappeared from radar. Parts of the plane and some bodies were found about 600 miles off the coast of Brazil. In all, 228 people died. Months later, Rio was able to rejoice.
I have the honor to announce that the games of the 31st Olympiad are awarded to the city of Rio de Janeiro.
Rio was awarded the 2016 Olympic Games, the first for a city in South America. The The celebration along Copacabana Beach lasted for days. Now the work to host the world has started. Lee Powell, The Associated Press.